What's up, beautiful people? How y'all doing? Welcome to Dialogue with the Davises. My name is Cedric, and I'm joined by my stunningly breathtaking and just man, words cannot describe beautiful wife, Lashana. How you doing today, B?
Your check will be in the mail on the first.
What check?
For that little intro.
Okay, bet, bet. You know what I'm
Yeah.
saying? Now, I don't want no check. I want something else.
Oh
All right. So we're
yeah,
gonna talk about that later on though. Hey man, how y'all doing? Welcome again to Dialogue with the Davises. And we've been blessed again with the opportunity to sit before you and sharing a conversation that we hope leads to some healing, some healthy dialogue, and just discovery in your relationship and your marriages, and just a better landscape and more overall peaceful environment when you're having certain conversations. Um, July is a busy month, so this week our oldest daughter, she turned 18, so she's been kind of doing her thing. She had a friend come into town, and they've been kind of doing their little 1-2 and whatnot. So we've been enjoying that, but it's been kind of bittersweet because she is turning 18. So I don't know how I feel about that whole my baby 18 type thing.
So it's better for you, sweet for me, because I want them all to be grown.
Yeah, I mean I want them to be grown, but still
No,
still the same thing.
like
Just
today,
yeah, I mean that's fine, but
all
just
of
like
them,
with
even the little one.
we got a long time for him to be
I
grown.
know.
Yeah, for real. But just like Woden, when Woden turned, you know what I'm saying, a certain age and he was getting ready to transition, it was like, yeah, this my son, he going into the world, but I don't know. You know what I'm saying? So still at the end of the day, grateful for the fact that she has been blessed with the opportunity to see another year and her be celebrated. But at the end of the day, still like time is, it just seems as if it's flying. Yeah, for real.
Yeah.
So that's kind of what that is. Today, we come to you with a conversation that we feel is not necessarily discussed as much as it should be, especially in the landscape of marriage and relationship. We know that there's starting to be like a trend take place, and there's a bit more awareness with regards to this topic and everything going on. But me and the wife wanted to kind of sit down and share our experience on what it is that is taking place throughout our marriage and how this thing has impacted us, and that thing is our mental health. I don't feel as if a lot of individuals necessarily deal with that properly or correctly. And again, let me start off by saying this: we're in no way, shape, or form or attempting to diagnose anyone. That's not what we're doing.
Mm-hmm.
We're in no way, shape, or form trying to give off an opinion as it relates to what it is that's going on and make it seem as if what we think is right or, you know what I'm saying, wrong or anything else. We are simply in a headspace or in an area where we want to discuss the things that have taken place throughout the course of our marriage and what it is that we've
What we've been
observed.
through.
Yeah, exactly, concerning the mental health aspect of our relationship. So with that being said, I want to ask you at what point in time, or no, not at what point in time, but how do you feel as if the whole mental health aspect as it relates to what it is that we discovered about myself and discovered about yourself has had an impact in our marriage, and how do you feel as if we've gotten to a place of being healthier once we did discover that? I mean, that's a lot. Just first, how you feel like the mental health aspect impacted us? Yeah, because I was
Yeah,
about to ask you a loaded question.
I mean,
Yeah,
like 5 questions in
all
one.
in one.
Um. Okay. Yeah. So, what do you want me to answer you?
So I want so what I'm but in all seriousness, like I
Right.
want to know, how do you feel as if, or how do you feel the whole mental health aspect or the mental health piece impacted our marriage from as it relates to what we discovered about one another or what we discovered individually about ourselves.
Um. I think when I was dealing with my mental health
Mm-hmm.
concerns, um, just for some background, when we went to Missouri, um, I kind of fell into a depression. Um, and at some point, I recognized that I needed to go talk to someone. And um, when I went to go talk to someone, I didn't tell you initially.
Nah, you did
Um,
not. I was not aware of it.
at all. You
Nah.
weren't aware of the fact that I even was feeling like I wanted to talk to someone. You
Mm-hmm.
weren't aware of the fact that I recognized I was going through something. And I don't think it was me being ashamed, or well, I know I wasn't ashamed. Yeah, and it wasn't that I felt like I couldn't talk to you about it. It was just more so that I wanted to get a hold of it
Mm-hmm.
before I came to you with it.
Yeah. Okay.
Because I've always been a person that I'm not going to come to you with a problem.
Mm-hmm.
I'm going to come to you with a solution. I'm not going to come to you and say, oh, the world is falling down around me and I don't know. I'm going to come to you and say, okay, the world was falling down around me.
Yeah.
I went and talked to somebody. This is the medication I'm going to be on. I want you to be aware of the medication I'm on just in case you need to ever let
Something
someone
happens.
know
Yeah.
that I'm on this medication. Um, but I think you not knowing
Mm-hmm.
for the months before I was diagnosed with being depressed, and I was talking to someone, you being in the dark, I think what it did was it created an environment for you weren't able to give me what I needed because you didn't know what I was
Mm-hmm.
going through.
Yeah. I mean, and that makes sense. I mean, but even with that, I knew something was wrong as it relates to our marriage, but I didn't. I never attributed it to that.
Mm-hmm.
And I think there was an issue even beforehand with myself because I know you say Missouri, but I know we had dealt with mental health issues probably before that, but just never got to a place of where we recognized or were cognizant of the fact that, hey, this is what we're wrestling with and this is what we're dealing with, and we need to go and what I'm saying, properly get diagnosed and get some help and come up with different tools and resources to help us through that whole piece. I know you said Missouri, but and I know when we were in Mississippi prior to going to Missouri, I know we sat down as husband and wife and got some marital counseling when we were
Mm-hmm.
in Mississippi.
Mm-hmm.
And during that time frame, I know I made the discovery at that point in time that there was something greater going on with myself from a mental health standpoint. Like you, I was diagnosed as well with being depressed, but my depression also led to rages of anger and me being upset, or me never feeling fulfilled or anything of that nature. And here it is, as I was going through that process and dealing with these particular things, it caused me to view us and our marriage in one particular way that was not at all accurate.
Mm-hmm.
And then it also did not allow me to properly communicate with you what it is that I was feeling and the different things that I was going through in those different dynamics. So when I look back at it, there were probably a number of years where I was viewing you and our marriage in a completely inaccurate way, strictly because of what it is that I was dealing with from a mental health standpoint.
Mm-hmm.
I know as I sat down and began to speak with a counselor and have the counselor kind of like say, no, nah, you're not tripping. These are some of the things that you're dealing with and that you're wrestling with. It kind of led me to a place, not necessarily of comfort, but it was almost like a relief,
A relief,
if that makes
absolutely.
sense. Like, because now I was able to say, okay, well, the way I'm feeling is not simply because of anything that I've done per se,
Right.
but there's something that has taken place at some particular point in time in my life that led to some type of trauma, or led to some type of situation being given birth to, where now I'm looking at life from the complete wrong angle, or from the
Mm-hmm.
complete, what I'm saying, wrong perspective or whatever. So I think it definitely provided us with the ability to be more mindful and more respectful of what the other one was feeling. But there were a number of years where here it is, like some of those arguments or those blowups that we had, or those disagreements that we had when we would fly off the handle. I know for me personally that now that was
Now it
something,
makes sense.
yeah, it makes sense. So, and not to make an excuse for it in any way, shape, or form, but once you do uh, receive a diagnosis such as that, and you begin to take the necessary steps and deal with the proper coping mechanisms, or the proper resources or tools to help you cope with what it is you've been diagnosed with, I feel like that begins to make a difference. But one aspect or another aspect that I felt like it was impacting me in a way, my mental health, was my spirituality as well, because it was almost like I was torn and I was wrestling with something, and I was trying to uh, go to God. But when I was going to God in prayer, when I was going to God concerning our marriage and our relationship, I was missing a mark with that, because what I was praying for and what it is that I thought I was feeling, it wasn't even accurate.
Mm-hmm.
So I know, just for myself personally, being able to sit down with someone and have conversation and express what it is that I'm feeling has paid dividends throughout the years, in addition to, well, not in addition to, but, as it relates to the things that I felt about us as husband and wife and just our marriage.
Mm-hmm.
So, I mean, now with that being said, like, at what point in time was it that you realized that you really needed to sit down and talk to someone? Like, what was the breaking point? Was there one particular event that took place? Was it something that you were feeling or something that you were thinking? Or, like, how did you get to a point where you were like, you know what, I need to go and sit down with someone and have this conversation about what it is that I'm feeling?
I don't know if it was any particular thing,
Mm-hmm.
or if it was anything that happened or didn't happen.
Mm-hmm.
I just remember feeling like exhausted.
Mm-hmm.
Um, just exhausted.
Mm-hmm.
Just tired of being sad. Tired of being physically tired.
Mm-hmm.
Because I don't think a lot of people understand that is one of the signs and of being depressed, just always being tired.
Yeah.
Not feeling like I was never just overly happy.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm the kind of person, the smallest things can just
Bring you joy.
send me into,
definitely.
I'm just over the moon happy about the most simple things. And I was finding that even the most grand gestures were just, oh, okay.
Yeah.
Great. That's what we're going to do. That's fine.
Mm-hmm.
This is happening. That's fine. I will say, in Missouri, we did experience a couple miscarriages.
Mm-hmm.
And I do believe that had something to do with it.
Yeah.
But I also think the reason I was miscarrying is because I was depressed. I think that
I
my
never considered that
body
until just now.
really couldn't house a life because I was so toxic. It was like a toxic environment for a new life to try to thrive. It just wasn't gonna work.
Yes.
And so I just wasn't feeling my best, and I knew now's the time to go talk to somebody. Now's the time to go talk to someone. At the time, I had a great support system in you.
Mm-hmm.
I had at the time I had a great support system when it came to friends.
Mm-hmm.
In Missouri, we had Rob and Ashley and Portia
Mm-hmm.
that were always around, and so I had their support.
Mm-hmm.
But I just didn't have the mental part. Mentally, I couldn't receive it.
Mm-hmm.
And I needed to talk to a professional that had gone to school to study everything that I was going through,
Yeah, to help
and
you
could
unpack
say,
that.
okay, well, yeah, I do understand how you feel. Because a lot of times people will look and say, and I get it, and they don't mean any harm, but people will look at my life or other people's lives and look at their stuff and look and say, but why are you, what do you have to be sad about? You have the stuff.
Mm-hmm.
And it's like, it's stuff. It's not, the stuff doesn't, especially for a person that's not a stuff person.
Yeah, definitely.
I'm not a stuff person. So if the stuff is all I have, then I'm bankrupt.
Yeah,
I don't
for
have
real.
anything.
You don't have nothing, yeah.
So I needed to talk to someone who understood. I needed to talk to someone who was formally educated in what I was going to express. I needed to be medicated.
Mm-hmm.
I did.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm not ashamed of that. I'm not embarrassed of that, because I recognize and I know it was a chemical imbalance.
Mm-hmm.
And it was right for me.
Yeah, definitely.
It was
definitely.
right for me. I'm not, advocating for any of you to run out and get medicated. I'm not saying that. But I'm saying for me, it is what I needed.
Yeah, at that particular time, I think it helped because it allowed you, like you said, to get a grip on it. Not now where you are presently, I think you have other means of being able to deal with certain things, and I feel like your spiritual growth and maturity
Right.
has helped you move leaps and bounds past certain things. But again, that still doesn't negate the fact of, there is some things that we still need to deal with from a mental health standpoint. I know I've had conversations with my brothers before, my spiritual brothers, and we'll be talking about certain things as it relates to that. And I think one misconception that some people may have is just because you are, you know what I'm saying, a believer in Christ, or because you're following Christ, or because you have a serious and intentional relationship, or a serious and intentional effort towards your relationship with God, that you no longer have to deal with certain things. And one of those things that I think oftentimes gets lumped into that is just your mental health aspect. I don't feel like, I know how I am with God and my relationship with God, but I don't feel as if my relationship with God now negates me having to use the tools and the resources that He's allowed to be birthed here in this world, for me to be able to use those things. But getting back to like what it is that we were initially intending for the conversation to be, how do you feel like that those things early on in our marriage, if we had known that these were some potential things that we were dealing with, do you feel as if that would have made a difference or impact in our marriage, as far as the way we view one another, as far as the way we saw certain things in life?
Absolutely. Having a chemical imbalance and not being happy, not feeling like I was being fulfilled, or whatever. At the time, I was blaming you and us, but it was neither one. It
Yeah,
was
man, it's, yeah,
the
for real.
chemical imbalance. At the time, I was saying silently, because I know I never said it to you, but saying to myself, he's not making me happy. He's not doing this. He's not doing that. He's not giving me this. He's not giving me that. Again, not material things, just maybe the attention I wanted, or whatever. And the truth is, no matter how much you would have given me, it wouldn't have made
It
any
wouldn't have been
difference,
enough, yeah.
because it was something else. It's almost like if I have a headache, and because I do suffer from migraines. So I have this migraine, and I'm telling you, my stomach hurts, and you're giving me Tums and my Lancer or whatever it is that you're giving me, and then I'm looking at you saying, but my stomach still hurts, and I'm
Yeah,
blaming you for it, but it's not my stomach, it's my head.
it's a head, yeah.
So if I'm not, I think that if I had gotten what I needed early on, then I think some of the times I was angry at you, I wouldn't have been angry at you, because I was,
Man,
the thing that I was really dealing with would have been addressed.
man, that's big, because and the reason I think that's a big thing is because how many relationships and marriages or friendships or whatever else suffer because the other individual is not extending the proper grace or mercy for the person that is going through a mental health piece to be able to deal with that and
But they
operate
don't
in that
know.
space. I mean they, but let's say they do know. Let's say there is an instance where uh, you're dealing with someone who has been diagnosed, and they have made you aware of what it is that they're going through. How do you now, as the person on the receiving end of their outlash, or their, you know what I'm saying, behavior towards you, how do you now, as the person on the receiving end, deal with that and say, hey, I know that this is something from a mental health standpoint. How do I now operate in this space to be supportive for them, and just operate and say, hey, I'm not trying to make matters worse. I'm just simply trying to be here for you. Because that's a big piece as well. I think that there are a number of individuals or a number of people that may not be in a safe space where they can express that to someone. So it's almost like they're suffering in silence. They have the mental health aspect that they have to deal with, but then they also have to deal with the fact that they have to keep it concealed, or they not only not have to keep it concealed, but they've expressed it to their significant other or those that they're in a relationship with, and then not be respected or taken seriously. You know what I'm saying? Because that's something that's big as well, and I feel as if, and I don't even think we realized that we were doing this for one another at the moment of the time, where we would be supportive of one another, like where we would be like, oh man, Because we'll always say, oh man, it's this, that, and the other, and we'll chalk it off as whatever and just give the other one grace or mercy, not realizing there was something bigger at play. But think about if we would have just completely rejected that when you were in one of your, you know what I'm saying, depressive states, or feeling the way you were feeling, or if I was in one of my moods where, you know, now I'm responding, being angered, or, you know, not feeling sufficient, or not feeling as if what I was doing was good enough. That could have been a toxic blow up. That could have gotten real ugly. So I also think the dynamic is important for almost like the back and forth dialogue, to be able to say, hey, I know that there are different things that you deal with from a mental health standpoint, and not necessarily pronounce them to make it more of a problem or more of an issue, but just being situationally aware and saying to yourself, okay, this may be one of those moments where something is a bit off, so I don't need to respond in an aggressive way, or I don't need to respond in a way where I take this personally. Make it worse. Because I know there were seasons in our marriage where both of us took things personal that we shouldn't have taken personal, or there were decisions that were made as it relates to who it is that we were, and our response to being upset with one another, that shouldn't have been, you know, it shouldn't have taken place. It should have been, if we were armed with that information, be able to say, okay, nah, this is different. Let me scale back. Let me just be present and allow this to unfold and take place, and just be a support system to the best of my ability for what it is that my significant other or my friend or whomever needs.
I think you have to want to do that for the person in the first place. I think that it seems so simple, but that is the biggest thing, because how many times have we experienced a situation where the other person just doesn't want to? I just, he's doing this or she's doing that, so I'm gonna respond. I don't care. They shouldn't do that. And it's like, but they're having a mental health crisis. They're in
this moment
right now, in this moment, like they are really in a situation, and now is not the time to beat them up. Now is the time to rally around them and give them all the support in the world. And and the thing about it is, in good times and bad times, sickness,
that's what your vows say.
In sickness and in health, this is a bad time of sickness. This is one of them bad times. You're having a bad time, but you have to want to. You have to say, I don't want to have bad times, but I do want to help you through your bad times. I don't want you to get sick, but I do want to be there to nurse you back to health. And mental health is one of those things that, you know, and I don't want to make it a race thing, and I don't want to make it a spiritual or religious thing, but I do think in the Black community, we are taught it's gonna be fine.
Yeah, we deal with stuff. Yeah.
And I will say this. Let me clean that up a little bit. Here lately, I would say probably in the last maybe 10 years, it has been a thing.
Yeah.
Where we are like mental health, wellness, coaching. We're gonna do this and whatever. So we are getting better about it. But it used to be a thing where you are, and this is gonna sound like I'm trying to be funny, but I'm not. You are a schizophrenic. We're gonna take you to the pastor. No, you need medication.
Yeah, you need to go see somebody.
You know, because the flip side to that is nobody is taking you to the pastor if you have a heart attack.
They bring you to the hospital.
Taking you to the hospital.
Yeah, to the ER. Yeah.
Nobody is taking you to the pastor if you get hit by a car.
Yeah, they bring you to the ER.
But now if I have a mental crisis, then it's like, no, you're fine. We don't need to talk about that. They're going to think you're crazy. And they're not going to think I'm crazy, but I'm going to go crazy if I don't talk to somebody.
Yeah, if I don't get the help.
If I don't get the help I need, I'm going to go. I'm not crazy now. So I think it's very important. But then in that, I think if your person comes to you and says, I think I need help, support that.
Yeah, definitely.
And when they get the help, support it. When they're having a moment, remind them, I'm here to do whatever it is that you need me to do. If you need me to just be quiet, I'll be quiet.
Definitely.
If you need me to hold you, I will hold you. If we do need to pray about it, we can pray about it. But I'm here because the safer that person feels with you, the less likely they are the less likely they are to lash out.
Yeah, I think that's true as well. And then in addition to that, I also think it allows you to have a better perspective or a better vantage point of your mate. You know what I'm saying? Like there were seasons in our marriage where when we would look at one another, we weren't seeing the true the true essence or the true nature of who the other one was. I mean, we always knew at the core, you know, who Cedric was and who LaShawna was, but there were times when we would be going through things that I wasn't able to accurately assess how I was truly feeling about you because I had so many other distractions piled on top of what it is that we may have been going through. And all of that stemmed from that mental health standpoint. And just going back to your point, we were taught, like, you know what I'm saying, growing up, like, hey, what happens in our house, it stays in our house.
God,
you know what I'm saying? You don't talk about this with nobody. Whatever happened, you know, that's between us. And I mean, and I get that to an extent because I don't feel as if you are to tell everyone everything as it relates to what's going on in your life. But I do feel that insulated approach when it comes to things such as mental health can be dangerous because now you're not necessarily getting, and not even necessarily going and confiding in a family member or something like that, but just going to the doctor and being, you know, brave enough to say, because I think it also has to do with that, being brave enough to say, hey, listen, something's going on with
Something's
me,
not right.
and something is not right, and I don't know what it is that's not right. And there are many different forms of mental health. I mean, some people suffer from depression. I'm in the military, so there have been a number of individuals that I've seen because of their combat related incidents where they've developed a different form of mental health issues that they deal with. And that thing reveals itself in a number of ways. Like I said, through anger, through frustration, through high. It's almost like you have high highs and low lows. You know what I'm saying? There's no in between. It's like you're either way up here or you're way down here. So we've, you know what I'm saying, been privy to see all of that. But at the end of the day, I still feel as if we have to have the presence of mind when we're dealing with others that are in that situation to be able to say, hey, listen, not only am I here for you to support you, but I also love you. You know what I'm saying? Like, because that's something that I know for the longest time that was kind of like unspoken. What I'm not gonna say unspoken, but it was a spoken thing. Just being in the military, man, you don't go to no mental health, they're gonna say you crazy. So it was a number of years because of the profession that I have and because of the job that I have, where there were instances where, you know what I'm saying, that stuff was piling on. So now I got the responsibility of the job. I got, you know, soldiers that I may have been responsible for at given moments of my career and all of this other stuff. And I'm dealing with something mentally. I'm dealing with something at home and this, that, and the other. And I have no outlet. So the outlet used to be, I'm going to have a drink. You know what I'm saying? And then the drinking turned into an excessive thing because you're looking for a solution in an area where you're never going to get it.
Yeah, because
you know what I'm
you're
saying?
never going to find it in drinking.
Not at all. So
and it intensifies it.
Yeah,
when
that's
you
what
drink
I'm saying.
you know, you actually feel whatever you're feeling. You know, and I'm not going to pretend like I'm a drinker. You know, I'm not going to do that. But I've been around enough and seen enough and studied enough to know that when you drink, okay, so you might be dulling that, or it can intensify.
And I think in a lot of, because I know for me personally, it would intensify whatever feeling or emotion that I was having. Because I know there were times where you would tell me, like when I was drinking, that I would become extremely playful. You know what I'm saying?
Oh, they used to get on my nerves.
What, when I was playful?
Yeah, I can't.
I mean, but I was
just. That would get on my nerves.
Yeah, but I was playful and it was to an extreme. But back then, I didn't understand what it was. I was feeling good. I was in a decent headspace. So now, when I've become extremely playful because I'm drinking alcohol, it's agitating you. but for me, it's like, why she not happy about me being playful? Or why she not happy about me? You know. So it was like, I'm looking at, so now that caused an even further
different situation.
Yeah,
right.
You know, in our marriage, but it all again was due to the mental health standpoint, because I don't think you even understood at that time okay, the reason that he's so playful when he is drinking is because of the situation concerning his mental health or,
Right.
anything else. But, and I mean, and again, this is a topic that, is very touchy, and you know what I'm saying, it causes you to be a bit vulnerable. But even in that space, like when I would drink and I would have my lows, like I would just have this mentality where there was nothing in the world that I could trust. There was no one in the world that
You felt safe with.
that yeah, it was, so that also caused me to maneuver and make decisions where they weren't necessarily in the best interest of myself nor the best interest of our marriage.
Right.
Like,
And the weird thing about, I think when a person is suffering from any kind of mental health crisis, because I definitely want to make it clear it is a crisis. And the reason I say that is I want people to understand when they're in it, what they're feeling is valid.
yeah, definitely.
It is
Yeah,
so
definitely.
valid. But when you turn to I'm gonna drink or I'm going to whatever your outlet is, you're not even giving your person a chance to help you.
Yeah, you're not.
If you, it's just like we were saying earlier. Like I'm telling you my head hurts, but we're working on my stomach. You're upset because of something that happened at work. I don't work with you. There was no way I would know what happened. When you come in the house, instead of immediately I'm going to go have a drink, let's talk about it.
Yeah, so we could address that.
Because maybe you would be surprised. Maybe there's something I can do. Maybe you and I can say, okay, you're having a really bad day. Let's you and I go do this together.
Yeah.
And that brings us closer. That gives us something to look forward to. That gives us something where I can help you get through what you're going through. If you immediately come have a drink, or I immediately do whatever it is I'm going to go do, how are we giving the other person a chance?
Yeah, you're not.
To make it better.
But again, it goes back to just knowing though, because again, you didn't know, and I didn't, like you said, I didn't give you the opportunity to find out or whatever else. And then not only did you not know, but there was a period in time where I didn't know.
Right.
Like I really and truly did not know. I just knew that something was off balance. I knew that something was not right, but I never attributed it to mental health. I never said to myself, hey, what I'm feeling is not normal. Or me having these high highs and these low lows, that's not normal. Or me becoming upset behind something so small. Like it could be the smallest thing in the world. And we've never had a physically violent relationship or anything like that. But there have been times where, you know what I'm saying, I know that I've been verbally abusive in our marriage. And not in the sense where, and not in the sense where I was like assassinating, you know what I'm saying, your character or anything, but there were times I could have been a bit more delicate.
I don't know if verbally abusive is that's.
But what do you feel like it was when I would express myself out of frustration or anger at things that were minor? How did you feel that?
And I just want to say this: the reason I want to clear that up is I don't want to make it so general.
Yeah. Okay.
And the reason I want to make it so general is verbal abuse is huge.
Yeah, it is.
And if someone is verbally abused, that is completely different than I'm mad, I'm going off.
Gotcha.
You know, that is
definitely
not the same thing. You were mad and you would be going off, but I was never verbally abused. And I just don't even want you to, if you've been carrying that, I, in this moment, want to release you from that. So if you were ever carrying, I verbally abused my wife, please don't carry that any longer. Because I was never verbally abused. I was never mentally abused. I've never been emotionally abused. I've most certainly not been physically abused by you. I have been in a situation before where I was verbally abused, and that is why I'm telling you that's not that.
Gotcha.
You know, that's not that at all. So please don't carry that. If you come in the house and you're like, oh, you know, blah, and I'm sick and tired of blah blah. That is just
Me going, oh, that's an
you
instance.
having a
Yeah.
tantrum. So please
So
don't
when I
care.
would have my tantrums, then
Okay, yeah, we gonna
let me
we'll go with that.
yeah, we'll go with tantrums then. And again, and that may have been the wrong way to say it, because yeah, you're right. I didn't do anything that I did with malicious intent. Like, there
Right.
was never that. But when I would have my tantrums, like, I know that caused confusion in our house though. Like, because it would be
Um.
behind the simplest of things. Sometimes it could be something simple and it'll be a trigger, and it would have me be on some, like, man, you know what I'm saying, like lighting a fuse.
Right.
So
I think it was hard for me because, and I don't want to laugh because this is serious, but because for me, it's not hard to send me into who you talking to?
yeah, you.
Because who are you? So it would be like when you would be angry or whatever. I think once I understood what was going on with you, um, it was like, okay, he's having this tantrum, but I don't want to say anything that's going to not be that's going to destroy his safe place.
Or
He has a
invalidate, yeah,
safe place in
invalidate what it is
or
that I was
invalidate
feeling.
your
Yeah.
feelings. You're feeling this, but I need you to calm down
Yeah, I get that.
because you about to send me into something that so it is hard. It's not like I don't want to sit here and make it seem like, oh, once you told me, oh, it was just
No, I
simple.
know it wasn't.
And
Yeah.
I'm this amazing person and I'm just gonna do no, it's still hard, because you and I are so when it comes to certain things, we're so different.
Yeah,
Things that
definitely.
really upset you, I'm just like
He tripping for nothing.
it
Yeah.
okay, so the kids put a hole in the wall.
Oh.
We're gonna get it fixed and we're gonna move on.
Yeah.
Um and which thank God it hasn't happened.
Mhm.
Or did it? Didn't somebody put a hole in the wall?
Yeah, that was. Yeah, they did. But
We'll move past that.
yeah.
But things like that for me wouldn't be a thing to get upset about because it's first of all, it's stuff.
Yeah. True.
We can replace it. We can fix it. Yeah, it's gonna cost a few dollars, but whatever. Um, so when you get upset about things that feel trivial to me, I have to remember they're important to you.
Yeah.
So I
Definitely.
can't not acknowledge that it's important to you. So I think it just is one of those things where you have to, love your person and recognize that we are different people and we're going to handle things different. But I just have to make sure I keep a safe space for you. I have to
Yeah,
make sure
that's
that
definitely important.
whatever it is that you need, even if it doesn't seem logical to me or it doesn't seem important to me, or whatever, I just have to support that because you can't if you're going to take your vows, take them seriously. If you're going to say in sickness and health, sickness might come.
Yeah.
If you're going to say in good times and bad
Oh,
times
good
might
times and
come.
bad times coming. Yeah, they
So
definitely
when it
coming.
comes, you have to it is what it is.
Yeah, that I mean, definitely that. And one thing that I definitely appreciate about what you've done uh, throughout the course of our marriage, especially after finding out that piece, is always create an environment where I'm not triggered, or when you would notice certain things that be like, okay, I know this may be something that upsets him. I know this may be something that's a trigger, not in a way where it was almost like you were handling me with soft or kitty gloves or anything, but you just being able to say, okay, I know this may be something that'll agitate him, so let me make sure that this is not present to be something that agitates him. Or even with the kids, like you would say, okay, now y'all know better than doing
Yeah.
that. You know what I'm saying? Y'all know I ain't gonna mind, but y'all know dad does not like when y'all do X, Y, and Z. And kind of, make sure that the impacts of what it is that they were doing were marginalized or whatever else when by the time I got home, I got into whatever situation. So I definitely appreciate you for creating that space and environment, because I also try to do it for you as well. I mean, and I know we've had some success with it at certain points in times throughout our marriage. So that is something that I feel like is extremely important, is creating a space and an environment, like you said, for your significant other, not just in marriages, but in relationships, because there are some friendships or
all of it.
whatever, creating an environment where it's like uh, you're not doing certain things that you know may lead to this person being agitated, or doing certain things that you know, because if you spend any amount of time with a person, you know
Right.
what's going to set them off. You
Right.
know what's going to potentially be something that leads to them having a moment or an episode or whatever else. Or, you know, if you've been around a person for long enough, you have, if you care enough or concerned enough, you've discovered what it is that you can say or do to alleviate when they're in the midst of feeling a certain kind of way, or in the midst of going through something. So I think that that's important to keep in the forefront of your mind as well when you're dealing with your spouse or your significant other or your friend when they're in the middle of having a moment. And then for individuals or for people who are in that state right now and haven't taken the opportunity to see about getting some help or whatever else because of what has been presented, I would encourage them to spend some time and spend a moment and say, hey, listen, something is not right.
Yeah.
Let me go and see about in a lot, because people have the misconception that once you're diagnosed with something concerning mental health, that your life is just over or something.
It actually just starts.
Yeah, because you now
you're
receive
free.
Yeah, and now you receive tools to be able to deal with what it is that you're actually dealing with, and be able to look at it through the proper lens or whatever. So I think that that's important. But I don't know how what at what point in time, or what if I had never discovered, do you think you would have been able to pay attention on your own and say, hey, Cedric, let's go see and talk to
Yes.
somebody and see if they're
Yes.
okay.
But I think, I definitely think that I would have recognized it. I don't know when I would have recognized it, but I think that I definitely would have recognized it. But the thing I think is more important than that is, in my spirit, I believe when I recognized it, I believe that you would have been receptive and open to
Yeah, what
going
you
to
were
talk to
saying.
somebody.
Yeah,
Because when
definitely.
we've talked about, because we've seen a marriage counselor a couple of different
Yeah,
times,
we have.
and
That's
I think
yes.
that maybe one time you said it, another time I said, okay, well, we need to go talk to somebody, or whatever. And again, it goes back to people saying, I'm not going to see a marriage counselor. But when your car needs a tune up, you take it.
Yeah, definitely.
Or when you need, what if you have your knees bother you, you go to the hospital and see why your knees are bothering you. So I just think that we need to really, figure out a way to tear down the
Stereotypes.
yeah, that, and tear down this misconception that when you go get help, it makes you weak.
Yeah, some
You
way,
know,
shape, or
I
form.
think
Yeah.
especially for men, because
Yeah.
I think, and again, I don't want to make it a race thing, but I think it's like black men. I think it's harder for black men to ask for help or go get
Yeah.
help. And I'm not saying that across the board. I'm not, but I do think it's a little bit harder. But I think that, you all go through a lot,
Yeah, because
and
you
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 should
do.
definitely, you carry a lot on your shoulders, and I think that, um, e- I think even if you don't have anything going on, you should have a counselor. I think if you are completely happy and healthy in your marriage, in your spiritual walk, in being a parent, in being a child to your parents, a friend to your friends or whatever, I think to have someone that you can talk to, that you just check in with, I think that's a great idea.
Yeah, I mean, and it may not.
It's
Yeah,
maintenance.
it's maintenance, and for some, it may not even necessarily need to be a licensed therapist.
No,
For those, yeah,
no,
it
it
could
doesn't
just
have to
be, yeah,
be.
it could be someone else that serves that role where you have healthy dialogue back and forth, and you're able to communicate with them about what it is. But to your point, with regards to of men of color and things of that nature, and again, not a race thing
Right.
in any way, shape, or form. But I know when I was a young man, I was taught like to suck it up. You know what I'm saying? Like,
Yeah.
don't, man, what you crying for? Don't. And you know, I'm mindful of that with my sons now. You know, like the Holy Spirit will touch me in a moment, and boy, it'd be waterworks. Like
Yeah.
I'd be watching movies and I'd let some tears. It's just a complete. But I feel so much freedom, and it's a different dynamic. But anyway,
I saved you.
you saved me. No, I'm not gonna say
Absolutely.
you saved
I
me. Oh,
did. I set you free.
you around here trying to take all credit.
No.
I'm I'm about to say who you boy, what? Like you said, who you talking to? I'm about to say who you what? Nah, I
set
know
you
it just
free.
whatever. That's
Yeah.
whatever.
You
But
know.
again, it's one of those dynamics where you definitely have to be aware of the pitfalls or the potential things that can take place if you continue to ignore what it is that's going on, especially in your marriage, especially in that whole dynamic. And I know what we've talked about, we've kind of bounced all over with, the things that we've touched on. And I don't feel like this is something that you sit down and you solve in any way, shape, or
No.
form. I think
No.
more importantly is something to highlight and bring awareness to the impacts or the impact that mental health has on marriages and relationships and communication, and how all of those things unfold and how that whole dynamic um, plays a part in what it is that you're doing. So I mean, I don't think that this is, and again, we're not trying to say, hey, this is the fix or this is the end all be all or anything like that. We're simply communicating and saying these are some things that we noticed about ourselves. These are some things that we felt the need to do different. And once we went and got help, we benefited from the help in this way, shape, or form, and it kind of led to us healing and discovering some things about ourselves and about the nature of our relationship and our marriage and the whole dynamic. And it also allowed us to extend that grace and mercy to one another, because now we knew what the other one was dealing with. It was like, okay, man, when you said this, you weren't saying that because that's how you really felt, or when I felt this, I wasn't feeling that because that was an accurate assessment. It was because they had this other thing in place that
When
was
you
causing
when you
me.
said that you weren't trying to hurt me, you were just hurt.
You were just hurt, yeah.
You
So
were
you were
hurt.
lashing out,
Right.
So you were lashing out. So, but again, we pray that this is something that you're able to sit down with your significant other, whether it be fiance or even your friend groups, and just talk about like, hey, and that's something that's important, and I thank God for that, man. All glory to God. Like I have friends through the military and through my relationship with Christ, and brothers in Christ and sisters in Christ. Well, sometimes they'll just send out a message and it's like a mental health check. Like, hey, what you good? Like, you know what I'm saying? You dealing with anything? You wrestling with anything? Is
You
there
need to
anything we
talk.
need? Yeah, you need to talk. You need a minute, because it's, I think now, because there is a level of awareness that is taking place, people are being more cognizant and saying, okay, now we can't just brush over this and not.
I think we're doing a better job of taking care of ourselves and each other.
Yeah.
I think it is a wave. I can think back to times where my friends would call and I would say, what kind of conversation is this? Am I
Yeah.
just listening?
Yeah, definitely.
Am I trying to give some advice or some guidance? What do you need from me? What do you need? Because I want to make sure I give you what you need. And you try to be that for that person at that time.
Yeah, definitely. And you touch on another very interesting point as we get ready to wrap up. When you get healthy, you're in a better situation to be, of help
Absolutely.
to someone else, because now you have the
Because
proper perspective and
right.
everything else.
Because
So
people will give you advice from a place of their own hurt, and their intention is so good. The intention is, my friend is going through something, I'm going to give him or her advice. But if they are hurt, then their advice is possibly not the best advice.
yeah, especially yeah.
So it can be dangerous. So excuse me. So if you have, once you get healthy, you can give out better and more healthy counsel
For your friends and everything
for
else. For everybody.
just everybody,
Yeah,
just
definitely.
anybody.
Definitely.
Yeah, I mean, I think about people like in stores who are just mean. They're just nasty and just having a rough day or whatever. they're dealing with something.
Yeah, definitely.
You know, they're dealing with
You give
something.
them, and I'm quick to give somebody a pass anyway, as long as they don't cross certain lines. But where you on the other hand are not, yeah, I see you've been looking at your nails a lot, like,
Well,
you
you
know
know
what
my saying, have the day you deserve.
I'm saying? You see what I'm
And he
saying?
gets so mad.
This,
So I have a question. If I say to you, have the day you deserve, how would you feel? If someone told me have the day
mm-hmm.
you deserve, I would feel just fine about that because I deserve a good day.
Okay.
Because I woke up this morning, I haven't been mean to anybody,
Mm-hmm.
I haven't been ugly, I don't go out of my way to hurt people.
Mm-hmm.
I deserve a good day.
Mm-hmm.
But if you're a nasty person and you're giving out nastiness and someone says have the day you deserve,
But again, we're gonna see and you know
I
me.
mean,
But again, I'm gonna go back to the mental health aspect because you may be being mean and you may be lashing out, and you just simply have no control over what
I,
it is. You know what I'm saying? So that's now somebody who's just mean,
yeah.
and they just mean for no
Yeah.
reason. Then yeah,
I
definitely.
mean, definitely because people who are going through something, you know, if they are having something going on with their mental health, of course, then I want them. Then they deserve to have a day of they deserve to have a day where they recognize they need help, and they deserve to go get the help they need.
Okay.
Right? They deserve to recognize they're moving too fast or they're in a bad relationship or whatever it is. They deserve to discover that and start making movement to get healthy.
Yeah, definitely.
But if they're a jerk,
I mean, we're gonna just leave that right there. We've gotten to that point in the conversation where we want to be respectful of everyone's time. So we're gonna bring this to a close. But as we do bring it to a close, again, we want to ensure that we're communicating that this. We're not saying that there's a one size fits all or
right?
what we did or what we discovered will work for everyone. But the main point of what it is that we're discussing is that we want to make sure everyone is mindful and aware of the fact that mental health does play a very, very important role in the nature of your relationships. It plays a very important role in the nature of your marriage, and it plays a very important role in the way we see one another. So keeping that in mind as you continue to go forth in your relationships, especially in your marriages, because again, we feel like the enemy is attacking the very essence and fiber of marriage and family and everything else. Keep in mind what it is that your significant other may be dealing with or what it is that they may be going through, and extend them some grace and mercy. And if they haven't gotten to a place of being able to say, hey, I want to go, or they haven't gotten to a place of sitting down with a counselor in a very loving way, not in a boy, you might be crazy, a girl, you might be crazy type environment, but in a very loving and caring way, suggest to them like, hey, listen, let's go sit down, man, and make sure everything is okay, and let's talk to somebody and
Right.
see if we can get you the help that you need, so that we can make sure you're in a very healthy and happy space to be able to have conversations that move our relationship along. So, with that being said, we need to make sure we bring it to a close.
We do. But I want to add something. If you are going through something and you have children, and I'm not in any way trying to diagnose anyone or any of that. I'm not doing that. But I am going to say this is something that I know without any question. If you are feeling something and you feel that you cannot get happy, you are feeling desperate, you are feeling like you just don't have any more to give, you owe it to yourself, your spouse, and especially your children for you to go get the help you need. Because what you have could absolutely be something that you're going to pass down to your children or something you've already passed down to your children. A lot of mental disease is hereditary. If you don't find out what is going on with you, then your children may never know what's going on with them. So it is very important to find out what is going on with you. Self-medicating is not going to help it. It will absolutely make it worse. And the thing about that is, if your children do what they see, Children don't necessarily do what they're told, they do what they see.
Mm-hmm.
So if your children see you self-medicating in any way, be it gambling, be it, substance, whatever it is, there is a good chance they're going to follow in your footsteps. If you want to see your children live happy, healthy lives, then it starts with you. You got to go get the help you need so that you can sit down with your children and discuss with them what it is that you discovered about yourself, what it is that you found out, and then you can get your babies the help they need. You do not want to have a 20-some-year-old child and you're watching them spiral and it could have stopped with you.
Yeah.
You don't want that.
Yeah,
So if
definitely.
you have something going on and you have children involved, go talk to somebody because you might discover that what you have going on is something you've passed down to your children.
Yeah, definitely, definitely. And with that, we pray that everyone have a blessed remainder of the day. Please don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, turn on your notifications, and continue to share the conversations that we're having amongst your friend groups and with your loved ones. Hopefully, it could lead to some healthy dialogue and lead to some healing and just being able to create a space where you all are having conversations about things that we typically may not discuss in certain settings. So again, don't forget to like, comment, share, subscribe, turn on your notifications, and continue to heal and have great conversations and healthy dialogue. That's something else you want to say?
Have the day you deserve.
Wow, there you go with that. Man, y'all have a blessed day. Peace.